Congratulations, seniors. You've made it. Last set of notes for Ecology in 2013, 2014. This is my gift to you, your senior gift. What a great gift. You're not going to get a better one than this. I guarantee it. And it's even 2 weeks early. So how awesome am I giving you this wonderful gift, this opportunity for you to take notes one more time in Ecology. Here it is. It's the global warming as a myth notes. That's right, folks. Global warming, it ain't happening. They lied to you, brothers and sisters. It's just a myth. I've been lying to you the last 2 or 3 weeks when we studied this stuff. It ain't true, brothers and sisters. It ain't true. Check it out. Here are some popular global warming beliefs that are all wrong. They're wrong. Some of these we've already learned in class. The world is heating up at such a rate that the polar caps and glaciers are disappearing and certain doom is upon us. Meaning, the world is heating up, snow and ice is disappearing, and someday we're all going to die. That's a popular global warming belief. It ain't true. Next one. Temperature increase over the last 100 years is due to humans. That's right, us. We're causing this increase. It ain't true. Third one. Hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, and other natural catastrophes are increasing not only in number, but also in strength due to this warming. That's another one. It ain't true. And fourth, we as a civilization can actually stop global warming. That's right. Humans can stop global warming. We can control nature. We can play Mother Nature. It ain't true. They're all just myths, folks. They're myths. We've been fooled. They've lied to us all. Here's the crazy thing. We have global warming now, but like 40 years ago, there was actually global cooling. That's right. Scientists came up with this garbage that there was global cooling and that we were going to have an ice age. That's right, an ice age, meaning like we'll all be living in a igloo hunting polar bears and trying to not freeze to death because there was going to be global cooling. Check it out. Like 40, 45 years ago, scientists were saying that we were going to have an ice age. In fact, they came out in the Science Digest, which was a really popular scientific magazine at the time, and said this: the world's climatologists, in other words, the people that actually study the climate, are all agreed that we must prepare for the next ice age. The New York Times, which is arguably the most influential newspaper in the world, said this back in 1975: recent cooling may mark the return to another ice age. That's right, an ice age, meaning everything would be frozen, and it would be a really bad thing for humans because our lifestyles would change and people would die because the earth is cooling. Guess what? It wasn't true, brothers and sisters. We didn't have an ice age. Never happened. It was complete garbage. It ain't true. All started with this dude, Paul Ehrlich. He's the one that started this crazy idea of global cooling. And the reason why he did it was dude ran out of money. He was a scientist. He was poor. He didn't know how he was going to get more money. So he made up this crazy thing called global cooling. And he sold it to other people. And they believed it. And other scientists believed it. So everybody started to think that we were going to have an ice age 40 years ago. He was a Stanford University professor who studied butterflies. That's right, this dude studied butterflies. He came up with this crazy idea that we were going to have an ice age because of butterflies. That's right, butterflies. And he studied these butterflies in the Canadian Arctic back in the 1940s and 1950s. So he would go up to Canada in a really cold area and he studied butterflies because that's where they kind of originate, is up in Canada. A lot of people see butterflies and they think they're just from around here, but they're not. They're actually from the north and they fly down as they go through their life cycle. And what he found, allegedly, it wasn't true, brothers and sisters. He found that butterflies were heading further and further south every year because it was getting colder. That's right. He made up the story that butterflies were moving. They were going more towards the equator because the earth was cooling down and they couldn't handle it. And so this must mean we're going to have an ice age. Again, it wasn't true. Guess what? The same thing's happening now. Scientists, all the global cooling scientists, they ran out of money too because they got all this funding for global cooling and it didn't happen. So all their money ran out and they couldn't get any money anymore. So instead of trying to find something good to study, they decided to start something crazy: global warming. In other words, the world is heating up. So we used to have global cooling. Now we actually have global warming. This began in the summer of 1988. And the reason why it began that summer was because it was a really, really hot summer, one of the hottest summers we had had, especially here in the United States, for a long, long time. At that time, there was a company called AccuWeather, which is still around, and it's still one of the better uh, forecasters for weather out there. But they said this: global air temperatures as measured by land-based weather stations show an increase of about 0.45 degrees Celsius over the past century. So in other words, AccuWeather said that basically we've gone up by half a degree over the past century, so we must be having global warming. Well, here's the problem. The satellites, excuse me, the weather stations they were using were land-based, meaning they were on the ground. It's hottest on the ground. It's not hot up in the air. So where they had placed their weather stations to take this temperature reading, it wasn't accurate. It was actually off by half a degree. Here's the problem with this: there's no scientific consensus, meaning not every scientist believes that we have global warming going on. There's still a big chunk of scientists that believe this, but more and more scientists are like, no, this isn't happening. It ain't true. Over the last 37 years, NASA, that's right, NASA, the space people here in the United States, collected all their satellite data. So they're up in outer space, all the satellites that are floating around, and they take temperature readings from the sky, which are more accurate because they're not near the ground and they're not subject to the sun's rays. They're actually just getting temperatures from the sky, so it's more accurate. Actually indicated that there was a slight cooling in the climate, that we have actually gotten cooler and we are not having global warming. We're actually getting cooler. Here's a crazy thing. Back when all this stuff was really hot, like it was really popular, a lot of people in the public believed it was happening because we had been sold all this garbage by the media that we're having global warming. At that time, 87% of Americans believed global warming was happening. Here's the problem. The scientists, the people who actually know what the heck they're talking about, only 17% of them believed global warming was going on. So people, the public, believed it was happening, but scientists were like, whoa, 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 hold on. Let's get some data here. Let's get our facts straight. And only 17% of them actually believed it was going on. So the public had been fooled to believe that global warming was happening when in fact only 17% of the scientists were actually saying that. So 83% of meteorologists at that time did not believe in global warming, even though most Americans did. We've been fooled. Here's the second claim. Not only is the Earth heating up, but we're doing the heating up. Here's a fact. Nature produces far more greenhouse gases than we do. It's not even close. Nature is so much more powerful than we are as humans, so they produce more greenhouse gases than we ever would. A single volcano can erupt 30 million tons of sulfur dioxide. If you don't know what sulfur dioxide is, it's a greenhouse gas that when it goes in the atmosphere helps to heat up the Earth. It's a good thing actually when it comes from nature. And a volcano can erupt 30 million tons of this in as little as 3 hours. This is 4 times as much. Folks, one volcano can emit 4 times as much as all the factories, power plants, and cars in the United States combined in a single year. So one volcano can erupt 4 times as much as we can produce as humans in the United States over an entire year. So again, nature wins out. It's not us, it's nature. Oceans are so big, they're like really massive. They can emit 90 billion tons of carbon dioxide. Decaying plants and animals, in other words, when plants and animals die, as their bodies decompose, they put off another 90 billion tons of carbon dioxide. So again, nature is more powerful. It's putting off all these greenhouse gases. So estimated total, if you add up volcanoes, oceans, and dead plants and animals that are decaying, it's 210 billion, that's right, billion with a B, tons of carbon dioxide every year. Humans, 11 billion tons of carbon dioxide a year. So nature emits almost 20 times more carbon dioxide than humans do. So Nature is much more powerful than us. Mother Nature rules us. So we're not actually doing the heating up. It's nature that's doing this, and there might not even be any heating up at all. 98% of the total global greenhouse gas emissions are natural. Only 2% are from man-made sources. That's right, folks. We've been fooled to believe that we're the cause. We're not. It's nature. Nature's the one that does the heating and cooling on this earth. Nature will balance itself out. It ain't true. Here's the third claim. We can stop it. That's right, folks. We can stop it. Humans can stop nature anytime we want. We are superheroes, and if we all come together, we can stop global warming. We can control nature. Guess what? We can't. We've tried. We can't. Scientists have actually tried to stop hurricanes. They can't do it. It's impossible. Mother Nature is powerful. Hurricanes are way too big and way too strong. We can't stop a hurricane. It's crazy. We can't stop the sun. We've tried it. We've tried to limit the sun's power. We've tried to, make places cooler. We've tried to, take in the sun's power to use for energy. We can't do it. We can't stop the sun. The sun is too big. We're like a speck of dust compared to the sun. We can't do it. We don't have the power. Nature's stronger than us. We can't control the weather. We've tried to do this too. We've tried to get it to rain in other areas, or be drier in some areas, or cool areas down, or warm areas up. We can't do it. Humans can't do it. We're not strong enough. Nature's so much more powerful than we are. It's impossible. Heck, we can't even predict the weather. How many times do you watch Gary Lezak or Brian Busby on TV say that tomorrow it's going to be sunny, and then the next thing you go outside and it's raining or there's a big storm? We can't predict the weather. We can't control the weather. Nature's too powerful for us. In fact, did you know weather forecasting is only about a coin flip's chance of being right? That's right. Weather forecasting, when they try to predict just 10 days into the future, it's only about 50% right. So every time you see Brian Busby on TV and he's giving us 10-day weather forecast, no, he's only about 50% chance he's going to get it right. It's kind of a guess. We're just not that powerful as humans. Nature is much more powerful because nature is so much more bigger than us. So can we stop it? No, we can't. We're not powerful enough. Nature has to do it on its own. There is no magical weather crystal ball. There isn't. We can't control the weather. It's impossible. The last claim. So we've heard about the earth is heating up, it's our fault, and that we can stop it. The last claim was there's an increase in severe weather, meaning there'll be more hurricanes, more tornadoes, and more death of humans because of global warming. Well, this happened back in the 1990s. Scientists started to get on this global warming kick, and they said hurricanes would significantly increase due to global warming. If we continue to warm the earth up, eventually these hurricanes are going to be out of control and they're going to kill us all. Well, it's not true. Hurricanes are actually at their lowest levels ever in the last 150 years. So if we study a longer period of time, we'll see that hurricanes kind of just even themselves out. Sometimes there's more of them, sometimes there's less, but really Mother Nature just kind of evens itself out because it's so powerful. Here's a little bar graph. You can see basically the lines kind of just go up and down. You have some years like in 1881 to 1890 where you had a spike, and then back in 1941 to 1950 there was a spike as well. But if you look at like 1921 to 1930, it's kind of low. Matter of fact, when all the global warming crap was going around back in the early 2000s, as you can see on the bar that's on the very bottom, it was actually at its lowest point ever. So these scientists were saying that global warming was happening and that it was going to cause all this death and destruction based on severe weather. Well, really, hurricanes are basically at their lowest level they've been in some time. Here's your last slide of notes you ever have to take. Here's what's crazy about all this. Scientists ran out of money. So what do? In order to get money, they make up global warming. Because if they make up something like global warming, they will get more funding. In other words, they could say global cooling, and then when that didn't work out well, we could just say global warming. It must be global warming, so we need more money We need more funds. So it's basically like job security. Scientists were making this stuff up to keep a job. This guy, William Gray, was a scientist. He's one of the most famous hurricane predictors ever. So he's like the best hurricane scientist on the planet. This is crazy stuff. He said this: so many people have vested interest in this global warming thing, all these big labs and research and stuff. The idea is to frighten the public to get more money to study it. Okay, so here's the most famous hurricane predictor ever, one of the best hurricane scientists ever. And he's saying scientists have told the public that global warming is happening so they can get more money. It's all a money making scheme. I know it sounds crazy, but you've been fooled. Heck, I was fooled. I used to believe global warming's happening. It ain't happening. It's not true. He also said this: I've been around 50 years. So this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's one of the best hurricane people on the planet. So my views against global warming are well known. He was one of the few scientists who the whole time has been saying global warming is not happening. And I want to stand up for it. Even though all my colleagues, all the other scientists are saying this is happening, I'm going to tell you it's not. Well, guess what? The minute he spoke up about global warming being a myth, being untrue, his funding was taken away. See, he said, I had governmental funding for 30 some years and now I'm cut off. They've turned me down for 13 straight proposals. So think about that. Here's the best scientist on the planet for hurricanes. He came out and said, global warming isn't happening. You're all a bunch of liars. You're all doing this to get money. Right when he said that, his funding from the government was pulled. And he had government funding for 30 some years. And all of a sudden, they just cut him off. And he's tried 13 different times to get more funding, and it just hasn't happened. So, you should think about this global warming thing. Is it a myth? Has it been made up? Are scientists just doing this to get money? It's something to think about. I know I believe it's a myth. What do you think?